Easy now. Papa got things making headlines.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me tried the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finna change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you plenty of fences.
All right. And you ready to rock?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn and You can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My ad name has not changed on that app, at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Shout out to everyone who subscribes to our YouTube channel. That is Seahawks Man to Man, the number 2 man. That is on YouTube. We appreciate all of the love and support on there. As you guys saw this last week, we brought back our standout play segment. That is a YouTube exclusive. So if you're a film nerd, film junkie, like Chris and I are, then tap in. Please go ahead and hit that button. Chris, without further ado, go ahead, talk to him.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206. And that's CKid206. And again, thank you guys for subscribing to the YouTube channel. We're trying to give you more content, and why not bring back something we did last year and enjoyed doing, and that's standout plays where, yeah, Mike's right. We nerd out, break down some film. Mike gets to talk to the players to confirm if what we're talking about is accurate beforehand. So we're all on the same page, but we brought that back last week, and we're looking forward to doing it again as the Seahawks defeated the Arizona Cardinals 20-10. The defense, I think at this point, there are no surprises with the defense. But offensively on Sunday, there were some issues. And Twitter questions revealed a lot of the issues that we'll touch on later on the show tonight. But on Sunday night, that is. But where do you want to start, Mike? I know I said the defense. I think we all get it. It's real, okay? Gave up a touchdown early, and then the second half, what did they do? Nothing. They couldn't do much.
They didn't score at all, I don't think.
No, they didn't. They got multiple opportunities where they could have scored, but that inept offense did nothing. Why? I think the Seahawks defense had a lot to do with it. And then offensively, as I mentioned, there was just a few boneheaded mistakes, but there was some good too. For example, they ran a screen well. Yay, JSN caught a nice screen, which I'll illustrate to you guys later on throughout the show. But where do you want to start, Mike? There was a lot to get to. Where are you thinking, man?
Oh, definitely the defense, and not just like the numbers, which are staggering. Actually, let me pull up a number here. I'm a numbers guy. Let's see. So it felt like they were pulling things together. I remember I caught some flack, a little bit understandably so, but I felt like people who watched the game were feeling me. Like after the Panthers game, my story kind of leaned on the fact that that they balled out on defense, ran the ball, and had good plays on special teams. And it was kind of like a tribute to the Legion of Boom. And since that was the day they were honoring the 2013 Super Bowl team, right? And then people were like, Mike, what the hell? Gave up 27 points. How we win with defense? And it's just like, I hear you. First off, that last 7 points was a garbage time touchdown. No Quandre, no Bobby, no Julian Love. Like the person who gave it, the person who gave up the touchdown is Jarek Reed. That should tell you about that final part. But by and large, outside of that, the defense really stepped up in that game. I forget how many sacks they had. But part of the reason why I tilted that way after that game, because I could feel it. I could feel it coming. And then the next few weeks have just been reassurance, like because I know what it looks like. I know what it's supposed to look like. And it's the Panthers game is what it's largely supposed to look like, outside of a few really bad attempts to cover Adam Thielen, right? So. Since also Adam Thielen, by the way, tearing it up. That was not a case, Chris. I remember we kind of thought that would be like that John Ross game in 2019 where he just goes off and then does nothing the rest of the year. Same thing with Julian Edelman in 2020. Boy, Adam Thielen is tearing it up.
Real quick, you might be 0 for 2 when it 0 for 3 when it comes to guessing. Oh, the players, that's a one-time thing. Because you remember what you said about Puka? You were thinking, I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah.
And I said, Mike, I think he's going to get 100 yards again. That man has had, I think, 4 or 5 games over 100 yards, and Cooper Kupp is now back. But I digress. The point is, Adam Thielen had an out-of-body experience, and then he followed it up, 2 weeks later, if not a week later? So
I think they're on a bye right now, but I think he's like top 5 in touchdowns or something like that, like top 10 in receiving yards. Like he's really good. I'm striking out in that regard. I thought the Puka performance would be an outlier. Puka might make the Pro
which is
Bowl at
fair.
this point.
Which was fair. No one knew who he really was. He just dominated the Seahawks and then said, "Oh, I can continue this."
Let me see what Puka did today. Let me see. Oh my God!
Yeah, he went off again.
He had 154 yards. Puka might lead the league in receiving. I'd have to check that. Dang, I forgot which stat I was. Oh, here's which stat I was going to look up. So since the Panthers game, this is week 4 and on, the Seahawks lead the league in defensive EPA per play, and they are the leading scoring defense in the league in that stretch at 10 points a game. The numbers are there, right? So there's that. But the other part that I wanted to talk about was I want to take advantage of like any insight that I gather from actually being at the games. You can really these guys are feeling it. Like I don't know how much they showed on the broadcast, but I went to Jordan Brooks a lot today because that was the most demonstrative I had seen Jordan ever. I've been covered every game of Jordan's pro career, and almost nearly all of them in person too. And I've never seen him like that. Like it wasn't like he was backflipping or flipping anybody off, nothing like super egregious, but he had the same bounce that you see Jamal have, the same bounce that you see Spoon have. Like it looked, I was like, yo, what the hell got in a 56 in the second half?
You asked Jamal in the post game, you said, hey man, what got a JB? He was out there kind of looked like you. And after plays and the excitement, and Jamal just explained to you guys that he was kind of down for whatever reason, just his play. There are a lot going into it. He just wasn't himself, and Jamal came over there, gave him some positive encouragement, and that lit something because in the third quarter, well, throughout the game, obviously, but in that third quarter, he really, I think, turned up even more and was just making play after play, standing over guys after making a nice tackle. I thought, yeah, I'm with you, Jordan. He balled out.
So the backstory behind why I asked Jamal that is because I talked to Jordan in the locker room, just me and Jordan, and I asked him, I was like, what got into you? Because after you got into it with DJ Humphries, because they both swung at each other. It's bad luck on Humphries' part because his swing hit the ref, so he got thrown out. But they swung at each other, and I'm like, Jordan never behaves like that. It's like that meme video with John Wall and Bradley Beal of the Wizards when John Wall is interviewing Bradley, and he's like, I ain't never, ever seen you act like that. That's how it was. I went up to Jordan. He's like, yeah, man. Like he said, he played bad in the first half. And he said he was frustrated after that. He said he left some plays out there. And then he said at halftime, he just wasn't feeling it. And he said Jamal and Bobby came up to him for what it's worth. But he really credited Jamal. He said Jamal just gave him some words that got him right. He wouldn't tell me what they told him. So that's why I was like, all right, cool. I'll just ask Jamal. So that's why I asked Jamal what got into JB. And then when Jamal's like, what do you mean? I follow up, and Jamal easily knows what I'm talking about because he knows he spoke to JB at halftime. I just didn't want to say it blatantly because then people would just kind of steal those quotes for their own story, because I had a little bit of exclusive there. I wanted to hold on to that. So that's why I asked Jamal that. And a very interesting revelation from Jordan. He said he's actually been wanting to be more emotional, be more demonstrative after plays and just on the field. Because he's like, he said, me, I'd be chilling. I'm laid back. He's like, but now I want to turn up too. And it's easy to see how the energy is infectious in that regard. They're obviously making plays. Like Bobby said, it's very easy to turn up when you make plays. But beyond that, when other guys are making plays too, it can turn you up. When Spoon's making plays, Spoon knocked the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, Rondale Moore. I don't know how he hung on to that football.
Jesus Christ, Spoon knocked the hell. Yeah, Rondale, tough cat, because he flipped. He flipped and held on to the ball and got the first down. It's like the greatest first down catch ever. That's only remembered for getting smacked. Like Spoon knocked the hell out of that guy. JB made some really good plays. Jamal has some good tackles. They had their sacks too. Like they're all the spirit is infectious. And the reason why I wanted to pinpoint Jordan, who I wrote about after the game too, at least I used him to lead into the story, is because that's how turned up the defense is right now. It's to the point where everybody kind of got somebody in their friend group or their family who's just chill. They don't bother nobody. They don't work, Like think of on the offense, it's like Tyler Lockett. Like if Tyler Lockett is in there helmet to helmet with somebody, you know the offense is turned up because that's not Tyler's get down. That's not JV's get down. But now it's to the point where it's so much fun out there. They are so turned up. They're taking so much pride in knocking the hell out of the opponent that guys can't help but want to get in there too. They can't help but want to dance. They can't help but want to flex. They can't help but want to make a play. That's the other thing too. It's not just I want to dance. It's I want to make my plays too. And Jordan's also interesting in that context because he admitted he hates the dime package. The dime package,
come off the field.
He's off the field. He don't want to play in dime. He's like, I think it was Greg Bell today asked him in the press conference. He's like, yeah, when they do the 3 safety thing, which is essentially dime, JB cuts him off. He's like, yeah, that's the worst thing in the world. Without even letting him finish the question because he's like, yeah, he's off the field. He understands it, but he don't like it. He want a ball. And I asked him, I was like, so you must really like 3rd and short. He's like, yeah. It's like 3rd and short's. Yeah, he's like 3rd and short's my jam. He said I'd be licking my chops on 3rd and short. Because as many plays as everyone, it's like a competition they have amongst each other. It's like when there's dime, JB's like, damn, I'm off the field. Now I can't make no plays. 3rd and short, it's like, I got to make a play, because this is my time. So, and, obviously on early downs too. So the defense isn't only just playing well. Again, the numbers are there. They're like the best run defense in the league. For the year, they're like an average defense, which says a lot because they were giving a 30 ball to start the year every week. So they're like an average defense on the year. Since the Panthers game, they're like one of the best defenses in the league, best scoring defense in the league in that span. Small sample size with some bad offenses, but still.
They're doing what they need to do.
Yes, the film backs it up. The numbers are there. The product is there. That Bengals team is probably going to come out of the bye and score a lot of points on whoever they play next. And they did not do that against the Seahawks, right? Their longest drive in the second half was 0 yards. Or their longest scoring drive in the second half against Seattle last week was 0 yards. So it was interesting to hear from some of the guys, but particularly Jordan. And you're seeing not only how infectious some of the energy is in the playmaking, but again, as a theme on this show has been earlier throughout the year, is the presence of the veterans. Who came and talked to Jordan at halftime? Bobby, Jamal, 2 guys who could not have done that last year because they weren't playing. And some of that is just Jordan himself too. He mentioned, getting hurt kind of has him seeing the game a little differently because it was taken away from him temporarily. But the defense, it's a party right now. They all want to take turns smacking guys. They all want to make plays. Poor Spoon today had a sack taken away and a pick, like on flags that were not his fault at all. Like he's fighting to make plays. Jamal wants to make his plays. Julian Love wants to make his. Of course, Bobby it's like a competition to make their plays. There's a True Media tracks splash plays. You guys have probably seen me reference that in my story. It's broad splash plays, but it's essentially plays that are a win for the defense. A TFL, a sack, a PBU, what else? Interception, fumble recovery, a tackle short of the sticks on 4th down or 3rd down. So just big time plays, as you guys can get. Like I don't know who leads the Seahawks right now, but it's a competition to lead the team right now because everybody wants to turn up. It's just so much fun to be on that defense right now. Chris, we haven't seen that. I feel like we haven't seen that since the back half of the 2020 season when they got Jamal and then traded for Carlos Dunlap.
Yeah, and you mentioned a play in regards to Devin Witherspoon. I think he wanted that splash play. He wanted that pick 6. He said, I need 2. You mentioned, a competition. He said, I need 2 pick 6s because everyone in the end zone, I think Bobby might have been the first, or Quandre. Someone in there was like, yo, just chill, get down. And he said, what? Nah, man, I'm trying to score, and ran it out. And Kyle's like, oh, he's trying to really do something. They started blocking. That is infectious. That is exactly what you're referencing in regards to this team feeding off each other and wanting to make plays. Because 9 times out of 10, you get a pick in the end zone, you're going to take a knee, cool, whoop-de-whoop. You run down the opposite side of the field, take your photo, you know what I'm saying? What's happening? Spoon was like, nah, I'm doing this solo. I'm going back to the crib, and then we can all celebrate. And that was really cool to see. And then you brought up Jamal Adams. I thought he played a hell of a game. He missed a 3rd down tackle early in the game. This was the first drive, if I'm not mistaken. It was. He missed it. He couldn't bring him down. Well, he didn't miss. He just couldn't bring him down. And the very next play, they run the football. And you know who makes up for it? Jamal Adams. No gain, stuffs it, and that ends up being a punt. That's the type of thing you want to see. I get it. You're going to give up plays here and there, but it's how you respond. He could have missed the next tackle, and damn, you missed 2 back-to-back tackles, probably unheard of with Jamal, but he couldn't bring down Dobbs on that 3rd and short, and then follows it up 1st and 10, stop for no gain, 2nd and 10, and you guys remember how it goes. They end up punting the football, Seahawks get the ball back. That is what you want to see with this defense, and we see it on film. You guys are watching the broadcast and see how elite and how well they are doing as a unit. They're going to continue to get tested, but if they are having that positive energy and having fun out there, I don't see how a team is going to really come in and have that dominating force against them where they're scratching their head saying, what can we do to slow them down? Because they have guys at each position that are talented and get the job done. Hopefully Uchenna Nwosu is going to be okay from his injury, but outside of that, boy, Mafe, he looked good again. You go down the list of guys, and they all stepped up and did their job. And you keep hearing about Devin Witherspoon week in and week out. His name keeps being mentioned for the positive plays. Again, you mentioned 2 plays that were taken away from him. My goodness, is he electric? Jamal talked about him in the postgame. He's very intelligent, very smart. Jamal literally said on that play, because they knew what was coming on that quick screen to Rondale Moore where he gets blown up. They knew it was coming. That's what, according to Jamal. They knew that play was coming, and Jamal said, as soon as I saw the pass, I knew he was coming down. Bam! You saw the hit, and obviously they got the first down, but it didn't matter. They got the first down, and then what? What happened after that? So that's really cool to see how this unit is on a string, and they're trusting one another, and they're doing what they need to do. Outside of, obviously, a couple missed tackles here and there that resulted in the Cardinals scoring a touchdown earlier in the first half, this defense, man, I'm running out of things to say because they are that talented and they're proving it week in and week out. To only give up 10 points again, that's tough to do. But they managed to do it despite everything going on, despite Geno fumbling the football, despite the interception, despite DJ Dallas fumbling. The Seahawks defense was able to come through and keep the Seahawks in it. They really did.
So 3 things. First thing, a quote from Quandre that was I really liked. It kind of speaks to their mindset as well. So he said, because their thing is just running and hitting, right? Smacking guys. And he had a really good quote. He said, quote, you get extra plays, you're going to take some extra hits. And I was thinking about that when you mentioned the hit that Spoon laid, getting them a first down. In the defense's mind, it's like, cool, 3 more plays, about to smack you some more. Get smacked in them 3. And I think one of those next plays, if I'm not mistaken, was Jordan smacking somebody else. So, like, that's their mindset. It's cool, you got a first down, but that's just 3 more plays where we get to knock y'all around. That's just their thought. That's how they're looking at it. I thought Quandre also had a really good quote after the game when he said, I asked him, I said, can you feel like when you're hitting them guys like that, can you actually feel it having an impact? And he's like, yeah, you can see them looking around like, dang, who's about to hit me? Like, he says, when you have a team doing that, it's over. The second thing, so that was thing 1. Thing 2, I mentioned splash plays, and I didn't know who the leader was.
I'm going to guess Devin Witherspoon if I had to put my money on it.
All right. Money is gone. It is Jordan Brooks. Actually,
who's in
leads
second?
the team in splash plays. Jordan leads with 22. Bobby leads with 18.
Oh, yeah, Bobby blitzing too.
Third with so run stuffs are a part of this too. I didn't mention those stuff. Those are tackles for exactly 0 yards. So not a TFL. So exactly 0. Bobby leads the team with 7 of those. So that helps. Yeah. And then Jordan has 6 of them. So that's kind of why those guys are so high in that regard. Jordan also, though, has 3 sacks, and he also has 4 tackles for loss that aren't sacks. That leads the team, that tackle for loss number. Spoon's in there because, in part, he has 8 PBUs, which is a very, very high number. Yeah, that's like 8 passes defense. Is how it says on True Media, but that's 8 in what?
7 games?
5 games.
6
I think
games.
Spoon missed the first game.
Right. Yep. Jeez, man.
So that's a lot. Spoon's getting his hands on the. He nearly picked off Josh Dobbs today. Who, Josh, bless his heart, he is out there trying. Boy, he is trying, but there ain't nowhere to go with that ball unless they're just throwing a fade or a go ball to Hollywood Brown. Spoon's 8 passes defense are third in the league behind Darius Williams of the Jags with 11 and Benjamin St. Juste of the Commanders, who has 9. And I don't know how many games those other two have played, but again, Spoon has missed a game. Third and final thing, because I'm trying to get all these, I keep mentioning numbers and not coming back to them. I looked up where Puka is in receiving yards. Puka's third in receiving yards.
Potential rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, man.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony Richardson just smoked it, so he can't win it. Bijan, I don't know what the hell happened to them today. CJ Stroud would be the leader in the clubhouse, probably an offensive rookie of the year. But yeah, Puka is third in receiving yards league wide, not just rookies. Tyreek has 900, AJ Brown 800, and I'm rounding down. And then Puka has 750. That's pretty insane. Yes, Puka has more than Stephon Diggs. He's also played one more game than a lot of these cats on the list, but still, he's got more than Diggs, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, who's out, obviously. Amon-Ra, who missed the game. But yeah, he's got a good lead on a lot of these guys. So yeah, Puka, you're right. I whiffed on Puka.
It's okay, Mike.
He's gonna be a Pro Bowler with these numbers. Damn, just having a good year.
It's all good.
No, you're right. You're right. So yeah, no, the defense stole the show again, and I think it's legit. I think we've gotten a few questions over the last couple of weeks, like, hey, is the defense real? Is the defense back? Yes, the film is supporting it. The play, when I say the film, that's really important because you're gonna look on film. Or excuse me, you could look at the box score today and you wouldn't feel Spoon's impact. But then you watch the game and you're like, wow, he had a pick taken away from something he didn't do.
Yeah.
He had a sack taken away. I didn't see the illegal contact call on Reek.
I
heard it wasn't like
it was nothing.
I heard it was very similar to Boye Mafe's roughing the passer. Very ticky-tack, shouldn't have thrown. But like those are two splash plays where they're taken away. That would get Spoon in the conversation for rookie of the week again, or defensive player of the week again, if he has another pick and another sack like that. That would be crazy. But yeah, I think the way the defense is playing and the attitude about it is very, very cool to see. I loved seeing Derek. I forget how to pronounce Derek's last name. I think it's Klassen. On Twitter, it's a QB Class with a K, Klass. He's a big film nerd like the rest of us, knows ball at a very high level. He was watching the Seahawks-Bengals film, and he ended up tweeting out. He said the Seahawks DBs hit. Like, that's their thing. That's what jumped out to him as an objective observer. Because when you watch this team, the DBs are smacking cats. Jay Reed's throwing guys to the ground. Boy, Mafe's coming in wreaking havoc. It really is. And then you forget about a Darrell Taylor who had a sack and a half today. And it's like, oh damn. The whole unit is like, they're doing a really good job now of making teams one-dimensional and then punishing them with that one dimension. Like, oh, you think we stopped the run, now you have to throw. All right, well, now you're cooked. Like, we'll see if it continues. They're on a good run right now, but it's legit. So if you're wondering, is the Seahawks defense back? Yes, it's back. As long as these guys stay healthy, whether they're in nickel, dime, or base, they red zone, full field behind them. They have answers to every problem that these offenses are presenting, whether it's an offense as bad as the Giants or as explosive as the Bengals. They are right there with answers. It's high level stuff right now. It's very impressive what the Seahawks defense is doing, and they're going to need to do it because the offense has its head up its butt. Unfortunately. Once they get that figured out, which we'll talk about, this is going to be a scary team. But for now, it's just a team with a mediocre offense and an elite defense. It feels like we're in 20. Actually, it hasn't been like this in a minute, but it does feel very throwback Seahawky right now.
Yeah, it does. And you mentioned the offense. Let's get right into it. Another rough Sunday. Not the best. Geno alluded to that in the post game, but he puts it on himself. He's really good at doing that, especially if he obviously throws an interception, fumbles a snap, protection breaks down, instead of throwing it away, he tries to do a little too much. But I think there just has to be, he has to eliminate those, Geno Smith, that is, he has to eliminate just the one or two blunders of the world where he maybe tries a little to do something and then creates a mistake. And a great example of that would be he's rolling out to his left, trying to hit JSN. That was the intended play, was for him, and it wasn't there. but he should have realized in this scenario, I can use my legs. Because Geno, he can scramble, he can run. He's not slow. He can get out of the pocket, make a few guys miss, and get up the field. In that scenario, if the teams are going to allow you to escape the pocket, use your feet. Go and get the first. Get a chance to give the ball to Kim Walker and have him run it in. Keep the offense on the field to score a touchdown, not a turnover in that scenario where he just forced it. He thought that
that was to Bobo.
Oh, it's to Bobo?
Bobo.
Okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
So I think that he just needs to take a step back and just realize, okay, if they're going to give me the lane, I got to take it and run it. If a guy's open, I can throw it. And that scenario, I thought he just held it and thought maybe the DB wouldn't drop back into coverage. And unfortunately, he did, and that resulted in an interception. But those little plays can cost you a big one. And he has to get that out of his system. It's easier said than done. We're under talking, oh, yeah, just stop throwing the ball to the other team. It's harder than that, obviously, because those guys on the other side of the football, they have a job to do as well. And in that scenario, Geno just has to make the best decision, which sometimes just scramble. Just use your legs, man. Get out of there, get out of the pocket, get a few yards, get the first down, keep the offense on the field, and put up touchdowns. And then also, I'll give a hip, hip, hooray because they ran a screen and it worked. And it was to JSN. I love the play call. Getting JSN in somewhat space, I thought, great block by Bobo. I'm going to pull it up for you guys. Here it is. Just a great call, great play, great execution. I love it. I hope they continue doing it just because it keeps this offense so dynamic and keeps defenders guessing. Especially when DK returns, it's going to make this offense even more of a threat just because DK, he can take the top off the defense. He can block. He's doing a bunch of different things. And having JSN catch it in space, look at this, boom. That's what you want. You want to see it like that, drawn up perfectly. Bobo with just great block, pushing the guy out of bounds. Love to see it. So I know Mike is not the biggest fan of screens, and we kind of talked about it off wax, where Mike was saying, I don't mind the screens when it comes to receivers blocking, but when it comes to the fat man doing it, it just doesn't work. So maybe Mike might see the light and allow screens to continue, but I love this play. Perfect, executed well, first down. I hope they continue doing it as the season progresses.
Yeah, JSN is among receivers tied for 17th in yards after catch per reception at 5.1, which is a really good number. The league average is 4.1, so he's an above average yards after catch guy. And off the top of my head, yeah, he doesn't have like one big run that's like skewing that. Sometimes you can get that, like somebody falls down, you get like 60 yards on one yak play, and it kind of skews the numbers this early. No, he's just a solid guy. He's right there behind CeeDee Lamb, Josh Palmer, and Jalen Waddle. So good company. I'm still not a big screen guy, but I did like the execution on that. I also like that on the only people who are watching on YouTube are gonna see. But if you look at what Chris just showed, Budda Baker completely face guards Tyler Lockett on the opposite side of the field. It's a full-on basketball double team. Like Budda completely, I'm talking full on, turns his body away from the play. Like full on, his butt is to the Cardinals sideline. He can't see anything that happened. Like if JSN broke free on this, Budda wouldn't even know. I'd have to tell him right now. Like he would just now be turning around to learn that. Like hours later, it's nothing. And I'd say that's wrong. They double Tyler. Teams double Tyler and DK all the time. But that was a full on. When I used to coach flag football. I used to coach flag football in Pullman, like 8 or 9 year olds, 9 and 10-year-olds. That's how we used to face guard the other team's best player. I would be like, don't worry about what we got going over here. Follow little Tommy over there. Just follow him to the bathroom if you have to. That's what Budda did on that play. That's speaks to Tyler's gravity, which his gravity is what scored JSN that touchdown. And yeah, after those couple touchdowns, man, the offense is really yucky. I think we got a lot of questions about the offense, so I'll use. Instead of my own thoughts, I will use the questions to kind of dive in because I feel like we got a lot of questions about the red zone, the offense, Geno. So let's do it.
All right. Well, speaking of offense, this is from Jacob. What do you think is going on with the Seahawks short yardage goal line run game? Seems like Ken hasn't been able to get into the end zone the past couple of games.
Yeah, I think, well, he did score against the Bengals. And prior to that, I think he had scored. This broke a streak. I think he had scored in like 4 straight games or something like that. So it's not like totally broken. He scored against the Giants, scored against the Bengals, scored against the Panthers. I believe he scored whoever they played in week 2. Yeah, the Lions. I think he scored twice in that game. So it's not like totally broken. This is the first game outside probably the Rams where he didn't score, and he has a lot of 1-yard runs too. So the goal line stuff has been okay today. So I bring up the context there to say today seemed like issues that specifically if we're talking about when they got to the 1 that aren't macro. These are more like isolated incidents. For instance, Chris, go ahead. Chris has the first one today, the first and goal. I think it's a gun run on first and goal from the 1. It's shotgun. They got their 12 personnel in, so that's Colby Parkinson and Will Dissly, the 2 tight ends. More Bobo and Tyler are the receivers. Everyone's it's a tight formation. And you can go ahead and run it though, Chris. And he goes ahead and hands it to Ken. It's just not blocked up super well. Like Ken, to his credit, does not dance. He doesn't try to juke a bunch of dudes. He says, I'm going to follow Damian Lewis, and I'm going to follow Olu to the promised land. And you guys know how on the screen there's the little blue line that shows the line of scrimmage is. Look at Olu and Dilu's feet if you're watching. But if you're not, just let's trust me. Olu and Dilu don't get across the line of scrimmage. They just get stood up. And in that regard, Ken is kind of trusting them to get the push, and they just don't get the push. Maybe if he's more patient, he can maybe go around and follow Anthony Bradford. But I think you would coach Ken up to follow his big boys into the promised land. That's how you would tell him to do it. And then the very next run is another gun run, I believe. Yeah. The timing of this one the second one is just bad. I don't think it was going to score regardless, but it really had no chance when they do this thing where they have Jake Bobo go in motion to lay a block. I feel like we see the Niners do this with their fullback, Juszczyk. I feel like they do this with him quite a bit, and we see other teams do it too. The timing of it was just screwed because Bobo just runs right into Ken, and it just throws everything off. So he ends up losing a yard on that. I think it's worth showing those 2 plays because they're like I said, it's kind of not a big picture issue. They have had some issues running the ball, like against the Bengals. It was really bad. Like I do think they need to run the ball better in the red zone, but on the goal line in particular, I think their goal line numbers aren't like awful. I think the red zone, like broadly, is where it's worse. I might be able to look up the numbers too. Chris reads the next question. But I do think here's where I do have a critique for Shane. Shane, he's good for some fancy play calls, and then some ones I just hate. Like we love the screen pass. Me and Chris agree on that. And then I hated the sprint out. I hated the sprint out when it was to the right against the Bengals. Yeah, I hate the sprint out when it's to the left. I don't like cutting the field down. It's already condensed in the red zone. I don't think you gain anything by cutting the field down. Even if that means you're cutting half the defenders off, chances are they still outnumber you to the side you're rolling to. So I just don't like that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work enough to be calling it. I think at this point, you better off just throwing it up to Bobo. Like that's the call to throw it up to Bobo play. He's 2 for 2 on toe taps in the end zone. So I would trust him more than I trust some of those. So yeah, I think they're not as bad as it may seem after today, because again, Ken keeps scoring. This is more of a blip than I feel like a trend, specifically with like short yardage goal line gun runs or whatever. However, I don't know why you don't try Geno on a sneak. Geno, I believe, has pretty good sneak efficiency. He's tall. He can go over the pile if you need him to. Hell, he flipped over a guy today. That would be my critique, is to use Geno more in that situation. And I think that would bring the gun runs to life. Because if like me and Chris were pretty good, like we love defense. If we were defensive coordinators and the Seahawks have the ball in the red zone, on the goal line, and they call a gun run, or they're just in the gun, we don't know if they're going to run it. Chris, you know damn well, if we're the coordinators, we're not going to tell our guy on the edge to respect the quarterback because they don't hand it to Geno. So we're just going to tell them to crash down. Now they're fixing the crash down issue by bringing someone across the line. But I think it would make the run game more dynamic out of the gun in those short yardage situations if you start involving Geno to force just the threat of just freezing that edge guy or that backer for half a second is all you need to get in there. But right now, it's just gun, and you know it's going to Ken or it's going to be play action. There's no threat of 7 running the ball. And I feel like once you add that, it'll be a lot more efficient. Because right now, I'll look up the numbers as Chris reads the next one. But right now, I think that's if there is a problem with the gun runs, that would be it. Is that you're just not. Geno's no threat, and until he is, the defense isn't going to respect him.
This next one comes from Noah #MoreBobo. Do you expect Bobo to get more offensive snaps even when DK returns?
That's tough. I don't think so. I think he'll still play, and play as much as he's been playing. The main key will be more. He'll get more snaps when the offense is more effective. If they go 3 and out, or if they stall, or they punt, then no one gets more plays, right? You guys will notice a lot of guys' numbers are down on the offense this year because they're just not getting as many plays. I mean, what did Tyler do today? I didn't even check.
I think yeah,
Tyler
5
had
catches.
4 catches for 38 yards and 5 targets. And I believe Tyler's numbers are just down this year. That's the product, I think, of the offense in general just not being very effective, particularly in the second half. They haven't scored a second half touchdown on offense since week 3. That's terrible. That might be the most alarming stat of all the alarming stats that these guys have. So unfortunately, I don't think there'll be more. I was going to say more Bobo. I don't think Bobo is going to see like a random increase in snaps. What you might see is instead of just more snaps, you see more plays designed for him. Because sometimes you get out there and you're on the backside of the play. You know it ain't coming to you. You're like the 5th progression. You know it ain't coming to you, but you're on the field and you're even running a route. But I think you might see more of, all right, this play was for Bobo. It's like more specific Bobo plays. I think he has earned that, particularly on 3rd down when he gets one-on-ones and in the red zone. But even then, they were doing that. Wasn't that when they run that flea flicker, Chris? Was that week 1 where Geno didn't throw it? I think it was for Bobo. The play was intended for. Yeah,
I don't know if it was week 1.
It was week 1.
Okay, well,
because it was at home. It was at home.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the first game of the year they drew up a play for Bobo to score. So they're using Bobo, but my guess would be after a game like this, you just see more plays where he's the first progression, and I think that's going to be huge for them because Bobo can win one-on-one if you just have a dude on him, particularly a short guy. Bobo's a nasty route runner. He's like Big Adam Thielen. So I think that's what you'll probably see a little bit more of. And it'll be hard to tell. It may not show up because if it's schemed away or whatever, then Geno won't go there. But I think we're going to see an increase of plays that are like for Jake Bobo because whether DK is back or not, because Jake's earned that.
This next one comes from on Doc Kuzan. What's the possibility the Seahawks go with another quarterback? Geno is working for the other team right now. Defense won't always be there to cover his mistakes.
Oh man, we're still here, huh? We're still here with the Geno. Nah, man, I think Geno's such a weird quarterback because he really is. His film, even the quote unquote bad games, not quote unquote, because he's had some bad ones. His bad games be having good plays in there, like lots of good play. He had a lot of good throws in that Bengals game and a lot of good decisions to like not throw too. Like he had a lot. And like Geno mentioned after the game, every week it seems to be that he does a lot of good stuff. And then it's just like 1 or 2 plays. And it's like, damn, what was I thinking? Now, I know what he was thinking on the sprint out that Chris mentioned. His arm got hit. So that's kind of why the ball stunk. But he's just, all quarterbacks say, I was just trying to make a play. Yeah, he shouldn't have thrown that. It was terrible. But I do know what he was thinking. Whereas opposed to the JSN interception last week, I have no idea what he was thinking. That was just terrible. So sometimes I see the process. Sometimes I don't. I don't think at all. That's like the furthest thing from Pete and those guys' mind is benching Geno. They believe in Geno. He runs the offense effectively, gets them into the plays they need. He's still a generally accurate guy. Like, let me see where Geno is in completion percentage. I would bet that is still pretty high. Like he's a pretty accurate dude. It's them 1 or 2 plays, and that's not to excuse those 1 or 2 plays. Because those 1 or 2 plays are winning time. But you throwing interceptions in the red zone, you keeping food off the table here. Like those are real. I don't want to excuse those as just calling them 1 or 2. But I feel like even if you're just anti-Geno as it gets, you got to acknowledge it does feel like it's just a couple here or there. It feels very similar. And it's going to sound crazy at first, but Chris is feeling me on this too. It feels very similar to watching Josh Allen, where if you guys watch, I don't know how much you guys watch the Bills, but just the last few years, Josh Allen's highs, like his highs, he has throws where you're just like, dog. That's one of them throws they teach the kids to do at pro day, and he does it in a game, and it's just amazing. Off platform, different elbow angles, letting it fly in traffic today, like the ball Geno threw to Noah today in traffic. Like, come on, like he does that, and then just like a Josh Allen, he'll have a play. Josh Allen's really good for this, actually. He'll have a play where he'll everything will be going cool, and he'll just not see a linebacker and throw it right to him, like Geno did today to Kaiser White. It should have been an interception. It's very strange. Now, Josh Allen's highs are much higher than Geno's, and he's done it for a longer period of time. But the effect is very similar. It's, man, when you're on, you are that dude, and then when you're off, we're sitting there like, are you okay? Like, do you need to have the red hat? Look at you. Like, it'd be those type of plays, you know. And like Chris said, Geno's owning them, so there's only so much discourse to be had. But no, I don't think that the Seahawks are even close at all to. I don't get any sense that they're close at all to making the QB change, because even though what Geno's putting out there is frustrating, it's just it from their mind. It's not even my input, although I agree. He does so much right stuff, like so consistently. It's hard to just like replace that. It's hard to find a quarterback, whether it's Julock or someone else, who does all of the stuff that Geno does well, and then does none of the stuff that he does bad. It kind of feels very similar to like this Pete Carroll discussion when we're talking about whether they should choose like him or Russ and stuff like that. Because replacing Pete is a very similar thing. Like there's some stuff that Pete was just like, it's just bad at. Just doesn't get. But it's hard to find a coach who's good at all the stuff that Pete's good at and good at all the stuff Pete's bad at. You know, I know it's a little apples to oranges, but I feel like you guys follow me. Geno's in that same boat. He does so much good that it's hard to find someone who does all that good too and then does none of his bad. That's tough. So and I don't think, as much as I like Drew Lock, I don't think you just midseason just throw it to him and expect him to be as good as Geno is at the good and then do none of the bad. That's unfair to expect that of Drew, which is why I don't think they think that they would make that move.
This next one comes from Chris Leeper. How worried should fans be about the Seahawks offense?
What's up, Chris? Chris is I think he's a frequent question asker as well. I feel like that name comes up quite a bit. Yeah, I got that right. Okay. Appreciate you. How worried? Yeah, I'm worried. I don't know. What should we do? Chris, put a number on it, 1 to 10, 1 to 100, or
1 to 10 is perfect. I'm at a 6 now. I was remember the last time we talked about it, maybe what?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Early in the season, you were concerned. I was like, man, they'd be all right. Geno's going to bounce back and do what he do. To be honest, I thought Geno would have a game where he throws for 300 yards on Sunday against the Cardinals, because I just knew the defense. I didn't think the Arizona Cardinals defense would have much to say. Obviously, not having DK might have hurt a little bit, but because he can stretch the field and that opens up even more opportunities for other guys. But Geno just didn't play good enough on Sunday. So I'm at a 6.5 going to a 7 if I continue to see little mistakes that he makes, because of little mistakes, they can cost you games.
I was going to come back to something before I answered that. Oh, sorry. I pulled up their rushing numbers on the goal line. Yeah, so the Seahawks are 16th in success rate in goal line rushing, which is average. The average is about 65% success rate. The Seahawks are 66.7 on EPA per carry in the run, which is probably most important, or just as important as success rate. The Seahawks are actually 22nd. So yeah, they're actually not a really good run team in these goal line situations. They do have a lot of touchdowns though. They have 4 touchdowns on goal line rushes. Only the Ravens and the Eagles have more. Oh, the Niners have more as well. But the Eagles, for instance, they only have 1, looks like, running back touchdown in those situations. All the rest are Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to click on the Ravens. The Ravens actually only have Lamar for one of those. So the Eagles are like the team to be on the goal line, but they also have a quarterback that squats 600. But maybe that speaks to why they should use Geno's legs a little bit more. To put a bow on the actual question we were asked, sorry. Yeah, I think I'm a tad higher than Chris. Chris, I'm at like 7, I think, with the worry for the offense, because I don't know where you find the answers if you're Geno. It really does feel like a movie scene we've referenced in the past, from the movie Brink, that Disney movie with the skater kids, like skateboarding and stuff like that, rollerblading, and the mom gives him advice, and the advice is just skate better, and that's it. And then the kid acts like it's the most profound advice. He like repeats it as he leaves, like, yeah, skate better, skate better. Yeah, like he had never heard that before. That's really what it like. If Geno asked me, like if Geno called me right now, it's like, Mike, what are you seeing? Like, what can I do? I'd just be like, play better. I really just would. Like, even if I watched the film with him, I'd be like, yeah, dude, don't do this. See what you did here. Just keep doing that. Like, it's so tough. I just like play better. Stop turning it over. That's probably what I would say. Stop turning it over. He'd be like, what the hell I call you for? What kind of insight is that? I knew that when I hit the
feed.
Yeah, exactly, because that is the insight he needs. Stop turning it over. But at some point, it's just like only he really knows why all those turnovers are happening, why he's making those decisions. So even the one to Kaiser White today, I damn near chalked that up as an interception. That just hit. I don't know if it hit Kaiser in the hands or the gut, but that's about as turnover worthy play as you can get, right there. So yeah, I'm pretty high on the worry scale right now because it doesn't look good, and I'm not really sure where to get the answers from. If I knew where to get the answer, I'd be less worried. But right now, I'm not really sure what advice I would even give to fix things other than just be the best run team in the league. So I guess you just don't have to throw it that often.
This next one comes from Mike DeFran. Oh, hang on. You know what? Before I finish that, doesn't that go to Pete's point about, hey, when you run the football, you limit the interceptions? Look at you turn into a Pete Carroll apologist. You're understanding. You're seeing the light because Pete is big on running the football because, hey, you can make mistakes and throw interceptions. You just handle the football. We can just run down your throat all game. Okay, I digress. Next question.
No, you're right. You're right. You can't throw an interception if you hand it off.
This one comes from @MikeDefran7. What do you think is the core of the recent offensive struggles? As in percentage, blame goes to injuries, Geno, play calling, and if there's anything else you want to add to this pie, Mike, break this down.
Yeah, okay. I'm grabbing a pen. Let's see if I got any paper near me to write this. Let me see if I can make a little pie chart. You guys won't see the pie chart, but just know that I'm making one right now. So this is gonna sound like I'm excusing Geno, but I do think this matters. I think I'm gonna put like half of it on just offensive line, because I don't even know, have they had the same offensive line 2 games in a row? I'm not even really sure if they have. I have to go back and chart it.
Pete mentioned in the post game, I think they've had 5 different lineups for the O line already. Something.
So that would mean at least one game was the same then, because this is their 6th game. So either way, it's just terrible. not great. So I would probably put about 50% there. Just having to change out all those guys is tough, man. Like, how many plays has Geno had his intended offensive line? What, just the first half, I think? And then he lost Abe and first half in week 1, that is. Lost Abe and Charles. That's tough. Because I do think some of those struggles can be on offense can be directly pointed to the O-line. Even today, those run plays I showed. Got your backup center not getting no push. They had a play today. One of the sacks Geno took, Anthony Bradford just got cooked. I don't know by who, but he was cooked. Jake Curran was getting worked in the Giants game by Kayvon Thibodeau. Hurt the third down numbers. There's just Jake Curran was getting beat last game. Phil Haynes was playing injured last game. Just so yeah, I'm gonna put 50% there. I'm gonna put 35% on Geno. Does that feel fair? I should put a little more. No, I'm cool with that.
Nah, because you gotta. I think last week I mentioned the play calling. I'm like, come on, man. Can we get some plays where Geno can have an outlet if things go sideways, other than a dump off to DJ Dallas, who's not gonna make nobody miss? Unfortunately, that's not his strength. He can
So
do it, but that's not something he is elite at.
I'll say 50% O line, 35% Geno, 15% Shane. Let's go with that.
I feel like that is accurate. That's fair.
That's just off the top of my head. I haven't thought about this before we got that question just now, but I feel like it's really tough to operate for both of them, for Geno and Shane, when you have these swapping out of guys. Like even on the fumble today, Geno took accountability because that's what Geno does, but Pete Carroll in his press conference kind of alluded to that being Olu mishandling the snap, or snapping the ball early, one of the two or both. If I remember that correctly. So it's just tough changing your center. I mean, against second half against the Giants, they had 5 dudes who wasn't playing where they supposed to, or just like 5 dudes who weren't intended to play there to start the year. That's pretty crazy. That's just tough to do. I mean, even today, 60% of the O-line was backups today, including 2 rookies and then Stone. So Stone, who's a left tackle, over there playing on the right. It's tough sledding over there. Credit to Andy Dickerson for what he's done with that O-line group. But yeah, I would say 50% O-line, 35% Geno, and then 15% on some of these play calls.
This next one comes from Nick Z. Red. The offense hasn't played up to their potential. How much longer till it all begins to click?
Oh, I thought that question was going to be how long till it all falls apart. I was going to say it has potential against this Browns defense for sure. Until it clicks. I think it's going to take, I think it's going to have to take Abe getting back. And I honestly don't know when that'll be. I read the transcript from Pete after the game today. I missed the press conference itself and I haven't watched it yet, but it doesn't sound like Abe's coming back soon, but that might be what it takes. Because I do think their starting 5, even if you had the intended starting 4 and swapped Bradford for Phil, while Phil's calf gets right, even then I think you'd be okay. But to have 50% of the O-line not there, 60% or 80% or 100% in the case of that second half of the Giants game, I think that's just too much to overcome. The pass rushers in this league are too good. They got by today because Arizona's pass rush ain't scary. But Chris, who they got coming up? Let's see. Look at the schedule here and see how worried we should
Browns,
be. Up my worry.
Baltimore, or Rams.
So you got
not Rams, but Browns, Ravens. Who's that
oh
for the
my
Ravens?
God, dog, Chris, this is scary. So you got Myles Garrett coming to town, and the Browns defense, which I believe after today is still number 1 in the league in DVOA and a bunch of other relevant numbers. Baltimore, who I think leads the league in sacks. The Commanders, who are just loaded with guys who get to the pass rusher. Their team stinks, but guys who get to the passer, they have, with Montez Sweat, Chase Young. Then you play Aaron Donald. You already know how that. Everybody in Seattle knows how that goes. Then you play the Niners with Bosa. Then you play the Cowboys with Micah. Then you play the Niners again. Then you play the Eagles with Hassan Reddick. I can't even name all their guys. Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. They're just loaded. Oh, my God. So they got a dude named Sweat on there, too. I think Josh. Yeah, Nolan Smith had a sack today on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I don't know when this is going to click. This really might not click till Abe gets back. And even then, that's a gauntlet of just – if you're just looking at the fronts they got to play, that is scary stuff. So I don't have a good answer for that. I would guess – when they get the full 5, they need that full 5 back because you just can't. It's going to get harder with all these different O-line combinations. I know Geno's confident in whoever they put out there, but that don't mean we got to be.
It's called
So
reality checks. This next one comes from P-Town 124. How many red zone runs from the shotgun versus under center in the last 2 weeks? I'm curious if the stats say don't do shotgun runs.
I don't think they say that. I didn't look at the splits before we got on here, but I do think, generally speaking, the Seahawks have had success. It isn't because it's been under center. You know, like they're an average gun run team, and then they're an average under the center team. The reason I have issue, that's why I didn't look up the numbers. That's right. I didn't look up the number league-wide because it's funky because some teams, True Media gets funky when you're using pistol versus regular shotgun because those can be charted the same, even though they're they could be charted the same even though they are different.
Okay.
And then some teams' gun runs include their quarterback. So I don't feel like those are as instructive. For instance, Indy with Anthony Richardson running a shotgun run is not the same as the Seahawks running a shotgun run, nor is it the same as even like the Chiefs running a shotgun run. So the numbers, to my knowledge, I just did a quick browse. Their success rate is about the same whether they're in shotgun or not. No, it doesn't say that like shotgun is the issue. The issue, this is the other thing I wanted to mention. I think they're going to have to start getting more creative with all of their runs in the red zone and the goal line. I think they're going to have to start getting some misdirection going. I think they have to get the defense flowing one way or the other. Right now, their chain is calling plays as if his O-line is just going to win. Like his guys are just going to block the other guys. Like we're just stronger than you. We're going to push you back. I see why you go into a game with that thought. They have some really decent run blockers on their line. However, that is not working at the level that it should. So you got to start calling it like how the Chiefs call it sometimes, or like we've seen even the Dolphins use, where you get the misdirection going. Now guys are just moving slower. When they're moving slower, they can't play as good. And I think that's what they have to do, whether it's gun or shotgun. Just try to get, excuse me, I said that wrong. Whether it's gun or under the center, they have to try to mix it up. Start calling it like you're not just going to just go dominate the other team. Because clearly that's just not getting it done at the level that they want.
This next one comes from Jimmy. Plans to try and slow down Myles Garrett. Chipping with tight ends, try and run the ball right at him. What to do?
The key to stopping Miles Adams is to find out where the Browns are staying, bribe the hope that he orders room service, bribe the lady who brings it up to him, hope she puts like some eye drops in his mac and cheese or something like that and just gives him the meanest food poisoning that there is, and hopefully that it lasts from the night before the game all the way till about Sunday at like 1 o'clock. Because this dude Myles Garrett he's not human. He's not. I used to think Aaron Donald was like a crazy physical specimen. Then I saw a picture of Myles Garrett in like a tank top, and I was like, where the hell did they get this guy? This is insane. I don't know how you stop that. I feel like, and I haven't watched the film back, I feel like they did an okay job on him in 2019. It was up in Cleveland. I don't remember, and I don't even think Dwayne Brown played in that game. But I don't think you should go in there thinking that you're just gonna block this dude with whoever you line up. I'm talking chips, triple team him. Every once in a while there's a clip that comes out where Aaron Donald gets triple teamed. Yeah, do that. Do all of that. Treat him like the real deal that he is. Like sometimes Charles is just gonna have to hold up, but I think you got to go into that where anytime he's on the other side and it's Stone, or whether it's Jason Peters or Stone or whoever, Jake Curran, yes, chip help, tight end, stay in there, double combo block with the guard, flow the other way, play action away from him. Literally everything should be designed to make sure number 95 does not get to Geno, because he is that much of a game record. There's only a few of those like that for me, Chris. And let me make sure I don't forget anybody. Micah Parsons is like that. Nick Bosa is like that. Myles Garrett is like that. And then TJ Watt is like that.
And
those
Aaron
are
Donald.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was thinking of edge guys, but yes.
Oh,
you're right.
okay. My bad. Edge guys, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're right, though. But yeah, specifically talking edge, it's those guys. If you want to throw Max Crosby in there, I'm okay with that, because Max is also a game record. He is very good. But for me, those are the four. Miles is like that. You just can't. If he just touches Geno, it could get bad, bro. Bad. So yeah, I think another movie reference. Chris, this feels like, remember when in Coach Carter they find out that they're gonna get the seed where they got to play Ty Crane's team, and everybody start patting Junior on the head like,
you got it, man.
All right, Junior. You got it, Junior. Don't worry about Ty Crane, dog.
Bust your ass.
That's how it feels like this week. It got to be good. Y'all got it O-line, but in their head it's like, no, we got to help them out. And I think Charles can do a good job against him. I think Charles is like, for his position, just as good of an athlete as Miles is for his position. Like those are really good athletes going against each other next week, but help those guys out. Do whatever it takes to make sure Miles does not get to you. chips, whatever, food poisoning, steal his cleats before the game. Make sure he just, if he wears a size 15, somebody go in there and steal his cleats. Make him have to wear a size 13. Even if he plays, just make sure his toes hurt. Like, you just got to do something to stop that dude.
This next one comes from Lil Mama, not the rapper. Do you think Geno feels pressured to make plays, especially in the red zone, leading to mistakes?
That's a good question. Only Geno could really know the answer to that. But I do think some of the mistakes he's made do feel like he's pressing. It feels like he's not. I don't know if he's pressing or feels pressure, but it does feel like he's made those throws as if it was a gotta have it situation. Because, like you mentioned, Chris, on the third down, I think on the interception he threw today, it was 3rd and 4 from the 16. Even if you take a sack, it's points for the most part, like assuming Jason makes it, right? And even then, the one he threw to JSN last week, it was 2nd and goal from the 18. Now, 2nd and goal from the 18 is far, but it's still 2nd down. Like, that's points. Geno has thrown these passes and forced some of these throws, at least these red zone ones. It feels like he's doing it as if it's like 4th and goal and you got to just throw it up. I feel like that. Maybe if he called me, that's what I would say. Well, hey, bro, just recognize the time and like learn when to just take an L. Like, it's okay sometimes. Because then he had the one to Colby Parkinson at the end of the game against the Bengals, where then he doesn't throw it and he throws it late. So it's kind of strange. Same thing with the 4th down sack he took against the Bengals last week on 4th and goals. Like, it's weird. Like, last week, I feel like he was holding the ball too long a little bit. But then he's had some plays where it looks like he's getting rid of it when he shouldn't have, forcing it. So I don't know if it's pressure. I think only Geno would really know if there's pressure. But I will say, yeah, some of these instances feel like it's like he doesn't know the down and distance. I know he knows it, literally, but if it looks like he's thinking, oh, damn, I got to make this play. It's like, no, you can take a sack here. You can throw it away here. Or like Chris said, you can run it on that 3rd and 4. Probably wouldn't have got it, but it wouldn't have been a pick.
They probably would have went for it too. Pete might have said, F it. Go for it.
Yeah, because I think it was 3rd and 4. So let's say you pick up a couple. Who knows? Maybe you go for it. Pete's been kind of aggressive this year. So, yeah, I don't know about pressing. I'd have to really talk to Geno about that or someone really close to him. But that's my read on it is, yeah, one thing he could fix is just simply realizing we could live to play another down. He's not doing that on some of these throws.
This next one comes from Young Slick X. Should Seahawks fans start to get worried about Geno? I'm not worried yet, but that schedule going to start getting real tough, as you just alluded to.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried, and I think it's okay to be worried. But I'm not worried enough to be like put Drew in there. But I do think it's okay to worry.
I don't know if there's ever a point to put Drew in there at this rate.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because I don't think it would go much better for Drew, particularly with the backup O-line. Like, I think Geno's had some plays where he's overcome the O-line too a few times. And I think it'll be a little tougher for Drew in this situation. But I am worried. I'm worried because of what we just talked about with the front. I hadn't read I knew the schedule, obviously, but I just hadn't spelled it out like that, out loud. Dog, that is bad. That's really bad. That's the type of gauntlet that gets your quarterback hurt, with the wrong lineman in there. Like with Daniel Jones. Like, he had so many bad backups in there, he ended up getting cooked. I think he hurt his neck or got concussed or something like that. Hasn't played since. Got hurt against the Dolphins. So yeah, this is a tough stretch here. And I'm worried just because, like I said earlier, the answers aren't obvious. It's just all the plays don't have a theme. It's not like he's forcing all the passes or making the wrong reads or holding it too long or throwing it too late. It's something different each time for the most part. Like, maybe 1 or 2 of them have a theme, but then a few other bad plays do. Or it's very tough. So yeah, I feel like it's fair to be worried. The only thing that I will say is that, for the positive side, Geno is very confident. He'll never lose his confidence. And he's very process driven, and he's accountable. Like, as you can say, as Chris mentioned, and you guys have seen it in his quotes and his press conferences. Geno is not to blame anybody else. Geno's like, I gotta play better. I gotta do this. I am not playing well. That's where it starts. Because then you go in the film room and you're like, what can I do better? Right? You're not talking about these guys got to block better. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's part of it. The other thing, like I said, his process is good. He studies. His process is generally good about how he goes through the week, how he prepares and everything, how he communicates with his guys, how he's in sync with Shane. Like, he doesn't have to do something completely drastic. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to start meditating or going to therapy on Tuesdays to get right. Like, I feel like his process can remain pretty the same because consistency is good. It really is. It does come down to just eliminating one or two bad plays a game. And we're talking about a much different offense if they can do that.
This next one comes from Michael McNewhouse. If this was the postseason, are the Seahawks playing well enough to win?
Oh, that's a good one. No. Well, that depends. It depends on who they're playing. The season is obviously far from over, but let's look at the standings right now in the NFC. Right now, the Seahawks would be the 5 seed, and they would go to Atlanta.
Oh, they should.
I think they would win that game. Yes, yeah. I think they would win. It wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons literally did not score a touchdown in that game. You know, and I'm a Desmond Ridder guy, and I would not be surprised if that happened. You're playing indoors, so the weather wouldn't matter. Yeah, and it's not like a super raucous environment. You know, Falcons fans are not like rabid like that in terms of being in the stadium. So yeah, I think they could win that. Then after that, you're going to Detroit, you're going to San Francisco or something. Then it gets dicey. But so that's a good question. I think it does require some context. Yeah, if they were to go to Atlanta tomorrow, I think they would win. They might even be favored if they were to go to Atlanta tomorrow. I don't think Atlanta's very good. I do think their defense is very good. I think that would be a very nasty game. That's like a 16-13 down to the wire. Whichever kicker misses a field goal is going to get death threats on his social media type game. Like, it's going to be one of those. Every special teams play is going to matter. Can't be any muffs or block punts or no weird stuff. But yeah, I think they would win a wild card game on the road, how they're playing right now as if they were the 5 seed. Anything after that, no. I don't think the offense is helping the defense enough to make me feel confident in them playing a complete game and winning in the postseason, particularly on the road.
This next one comes from Mookie Alexander. What would you change in the Seahawks red zone play calling? It feels like they're forcing the run a little too much down there.
I disagree with the forcing the run. I do think you have to be able to run it down there. I think all of the good red zone teams can do it. How they dress up the runs is whatever, or whether they're using their quarterback like the Eagles do. Well, the Eagles are a bad red zone team this year, so bad example. But I do think you have to be able to run it down there. Like, you watch the Niners, one reason they're so damn good in the red zone is they just give it to McCaffrey. McCaffrey just scores every week. Like, that's part of their secret sauce. So I do think you have to get it done in the red zone down there. Like, if you get 2 plays from if you get first and goal from the 5 and 2 of them are runs, I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. Like, in my mind, that's okay. Even if you go for it on 4th down, if 50% of your plays from first and goal and the 5 on are runs, that's a good balance for me because you have to be able to do it. What I would change with the play calling is I would give my guys more chances to get vertical. I would give DK more chances to get vertical, and I would give Bobo more chances to get vertical. Those would be 2 things in the passing game, particularly, that I would change. I would try to take advantage of yards after catch in the red zone. I feel like they got JSN. They could even use Bobo in that regard. That's a big dude. One dude ain't just bringing him down easy. But you can use yards after catch there. That's the other thing I would do. And then the third thing that I would do is use Geno's legs more. Now, it depends on the situation. Like on 3rd and 7, I don't think you should just call it draw up the middle. That's dumb. But I do think there's ways to use Geno's legs in the red zone because once you use them once or twice, that's the thing about the quarterback runs. Defensive coordinators tend to really panic. Not panic, but they care a lot about getting beat by the quarterback running the ball. And the minute you do it successfully once or twice, well, now they have to dedicate time at practice to stopping it. And then they're thinking about it in the games. And then you can use their aggressiveness against them. So I think those would be the 3 things that I would change. without getting all super schemy. Maybe we can do that on our Friday show. I think easily one of the solutions is get more vertical, try to use yards after catch, and then use Geno's legs.
This next one comes from Orlando Dalente. With all the short yardage red zone issues, when will the Seahawks spend a late round draft pick or an undrafted top signing bonus on a true fullback? Orlando here loved how Mike Robb opened up holes for Marshawn.
I don't think you need to spend a draft pick on a fullback, but yeah, I think they should. I'm a fan of using one. I feel like if you only have the fullback for short yardage situations, I think that's fine. I think that especially when you want to be one of those teams that wants to be hard nosed and tough and all that stuff that teams talk about and physical, there's no better way to establish that, I think, than putting a dude on the field who's only there to smack people. Really, that's all the lead fullback does. He's just on there to just, hey, man, y'all know I'm not getting the ball. Y'all know I'm eligible, but I'm really just here for violence. Like all the O linemen are there for that too, but it's like we got an extra violent dude on there. It's like a designated violence guy. It's kind of like how in baseball they got the DH. This is the DV, the designated violence guy. Mm-hmm. Like I'm okay with that. I don't think you need to spend a draft pick on it, just because I don't think the college game churns them out at a rate that will require you to draft one. I think you can just do it in rookie free agency. But yeah, I think this offseason, hell, do that tomorrow if you can find one. Would be worth it, I think. It just, again, it gets them something else for them to account for. Because right now, their run game in the goal line doesn't seem very dynamic. It just seems a lot of like, we're just going to line up and try to beat you, which you can do. Well, if you are going to do that, I need you to do it at a higher rate. Otherwise, you need to get creative, use Geno, use some motions, whatever, trick stuff, whatever you got to do. A fullback I'm fine with too. I think it's unrealistic for them to think that they're going to do that this year. What I could see them doing, which they've done in the past, is use some of their tight ends like that.
That's what I was
Will
going to say.
Or remember how they used to have Fant eligible all the time with that sixth O lineman? They've done that a little bit this year. Problem is this year, all their O linemen are so hurt that you can't even really go to the extra guy. Extra guy is starting at guard, for these guys. But I think that's an option too, putting that guy in at fullback if you want, having McClendon Curtis come in as a fullback. He's like 300 something pounds. I do think I would try all of that. Anything more than just what they're doing, like just lining up and saying, beat the man across from you. I think to continue to do that would be arrogant after 7 weeks or 6 games. I think that would be arrogant. You got to change something up.
This next one comes from Paul Martin, P. Martin, Cata, Texas. Thoughts on Will Dissly? Seems to have disappeared this season. And there's a part 2 on there, and that is, has Woolen got worse in year 2?
I'll start with Reek because that one's easy. No. Do I need to just tweet clips of the Bengals game? Reek was doing his thing on Jamar and T. I know he got beat on the back shoulder. That was tough on the free play. That was a bad play. But no, Reek's been fine.
He doesn't have the impact plays. That's all. That's the only difference. He dropped the interception earlier this season. So I think the splash plays, I think the people remember those from last season and they expect that same production. But how often are teams even throwing his way? And if they do, it's 4 yards, 5 yards outside of the one you mentioned with Jamar Chase on a free play. So that was just a tough scenario all around. But for the most part, yeah, I'm with you. He's been money.
And here's the other. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, Rico only has 2 splash plays this year. There are a couple PBUs. I'm looking at his number last year. I know he had more than 2, obviously, but I'm gonna see if he's having them more frequently. Yeah, he had them a lot more frequently last year. 16 PBUs, 6 picks. So here's one thing that actually is funny. Me and Reek just talked about this because he really wants an interception, right? And we're talking. I forget what day this was. It was last week at some point, maybe 2 weeks ago. But I was just like, oh, yeah, it was coming into this game. Because last year he picked off Kyler on a deep ball to Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, they threw it. Yeah. Yep.
A go ball, right? It was a go ball. And I was like, you're not going to get those this year. Like, he actually had a few picks last year that were just balls just thrown up. The one in Germany was that. I think he had one against the Rams that was like that too, down in LA where they just throw it up. It's like you are not. It's not like he didn't disagree. He was just like, yeah, we were agreeing, but I'm saying it out loud. It's like you're not going to get those teams. Are just a quarterback's going to lose his job if he hucks the ball up in the direction of 27. I was like, you 6'4" with long arms, you run 4.2, you can jump. Like, and you used to play receiver. Quarterbacks ain't just doing that anymore. Even if they love their guy to death. I mean, even Jamar Chase, that was a free play. Even if Rick did pick it, Joe knew it was coming back.
Exactly.
And they threw back shoulder, not just a straight goal ball. So I think that's part of it. Teams, not only are they attacking him not as often, it's how they attack him. He's got to start jumping stuff like a short
5 yard. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did a little bit of that last year. Like the one against the Saints, he jumped like a hitch, which was a crazy pick. But even then, he's not going to get many of those opportunities anymore. Guys just aren't throwing it. Like, so I think I tweeted a clip over the weekend of, or no, you put it in our standout plays. It was Draymond Jones' sack, I think, and or maybe it wasn't that play. But either way, I tweeted the play, and Jamar Chase is on Reek, and Joe looks over there, doesn't throw it, and then Draymond Jones sacks him. That's a perfect example of Reek's season right now. It's the season that the sword Sauce was having last year, where the team was just looking over there and just not throwing it. No, teams were throwing at Sauce. He was making plays on the ball, just not catching it. This year, it's a lot of Reek not getting those 50-50 ones because the teams have decided, no, that's more like 80-20 in favor of the 6'4" guy who can catch. So he's earned that. He knows that. You just got to go about it different ways, but you got to go about it in different ways when you get targeted. And he's also not getting a lot of targets. So I think Reek's been fine.
And then Uncle Will.
Uncle Will, I don't think he's doing anything differently. He's just a product of the offense not being as good, and they're just being other guys. Like look at the mouths they have to feed today. Like just today, this is without DK and without Charbonnet. It was like you got to throw the ball to Bobo, you got to throw the ball to JSN, you got to get the ball to Tyler. How many targets did those guys? Just those three.
Probably like
account for today?
15 or more, I would guess.
Yeah, let's see. My screen's not loading right now, but there's just too many mouths to feed for everybody to have consistency. I mean, even Noah Fant had one catch today. And Geno had to force that in between multiple guys to get that to him. So yeah, JSN had 7. Okay, Bobo had 5, and then Lockett had 5. That's 17 of Geno's 24 targets, and then 4 go to the running backs. So that really only leaves 3 targets for the tight ends, and one of them wasn't Will. But not even just. I think this game is kind of emblematic of the whole season. There's just gonna be stretches where guys just don't touch the ball, like where guys have one catch or no catches or no targets. And I don't think it's to do with talent. It's to do with the offense not being as good. So there's fewer plays, and then they need Will to block, because he's their best blocking tight end, and they're down linemen, so they need him to do that. So I think there's a lot of factors that have nothing to do with Will's talent, but I think the main one is they use their first round pick on a pass catcher. That naturally bumps everyone down a notch on the pass catching totem pole. Even if they were the most explosive offense in the league, Will would probably be like, 5th in targets or something like that, 6th maybe. Like I wouldn't even expect Will to. Let's see where he's at in targets right now. 2023 Seahawks. I doubt Will's all that high. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, he's down. Yeah, he's after Charbonnet. Only 6 targets. That's pretty low, but that's probably about what I would expect with this lineup. He's only gotten 3.3% of the team's targets. Yeah, I think that's mostly about the other guys that deserve targets.
This next one comes from Alejandro Peña _PNW. 2 questions. Should it actually be more Mafe? And who's your starting 5 on the O-line after this game?
I do like the hashtag more Mafe, but I do think Bobo has earned the right to have a monopoly on the hashtag with more associated with it. We got to come up with something else for Boye, whether it's something with his first name, his last name, combination of the two. But I do love the way he's playing. I think that he seems like he has the highest ceiling of the pass rushers that they have right now. Like Chena's probably still the most complete, but I think Boye's overall package, his combination of speed and strength and his wingspan. I don't know if his arms are longer than Chena's, but it just feels like it. Like I think he's gonna come on. He seems like he could be a double digit sack guy. But let's come up with a different hashtag, y'all. We can come up with something better than more Mafe because Bobo he's got that one. Starting five up front. I mean, ideally, it's got Abe in it. I really just think they need Abe. Like it's not even the Coug in me speaking. They need Abe back. It's just it's so different when the other team can have two good pass rushers and you can call stuff knowing that, oh, we're good. We got 67, we got 72. They're gonna hold it down. They just don't have that right now. I mean, it's not like Stone was getting beat a bunch. I haven't watched the film, but I felt like Stone was okay. But yeah, I think damn the starting five. Just get me Abe and Evan Brown, Abe, and Charles, and I'm cool. I feel like you can get by, and whoever's playing guard, they need to be healthy. No gimpy guards. No gimpy guards. Evan, Charles, and Abe, and that's the preferred starting five. Once they get that, they'll be better. Still have to. I don't know if that would necessarily change everything with some of the blocking and with decisions that Geno's making, but it'll undoubtedly be much, much, much better.
This next one comes from Christopher. With Nwosu looking to be out for an extended period of time, do you think the Seahawks need to make a move?
I do not know that Chen is out for an extended period of time. Be very clear on that. I don't want to answer as if I know that for sure. I do not know that. He could just miss a game. He could miss 2. He could miss 10. I don't know one way or the other. Yeah, I would make some calls. I don't necessarily think that is Frank Clark still out there? I don't know if he's signed with anybody yet, but if he hasn't re-signed with Kansas City, which I would imagine he'd do, maybe it's worth the call if Chen is going to be out a while. Because I think that would fit perfectly. If you were to just reunite with a guy that you know, and you can make him like a pass rush specialist. Because I do think you should just start Chenna. You could start Chenna and DT or Chenna and D Hall. Or excuse me, you could start Boye and DT or Boye and D Hall, and then rotate, like make Frank your like third edge rusher or even your fourth or whatever if you want. So, but yeah, I think if Chenna's out for a while, even if it's not Frank, he's just the only one I know off the top of my head. Yeah, I think that would be a make a call. Or you put Tyreek Smith in there. Is Tyreek Smith still on the team? I don't know if he's on the team. If he is, put him out there. And if he's not, sign him back. I can't remember. Chris, they make so many of these transactions where they cut this guy, then they cut that guy, and they bring this guy back. I think they done cut Holton Ahlers like 10 times already. I can't keep track. Oh, yeah, Tyreek Smith still around. Yeah. Put him in there. We'll see what he can do. Maybe you don't need to move. If Frank's still out there and Chenna's going to be out like IR out, call Frank. If Chenna just like dinged up, maybe able to play like next week or like a week after that, just put Tyreek out there.
This next one comes from a familiar face and always asking questions. This one comes from @Turns44 Ryan Turner. 6 games in, we've seen just about every version of the Seahawks. Are they underachieving? Overachieving? Exactly what the record is?
That's a good question. I think they are what their record says they are. They just went about it in a different way than we expected. Like I feel like, Chris, if someone told us that they're gonna be 4-2 through their first 6 games, would probably be like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, we would have thought. Actually, we might have thought that they lost to the Bengals and maybe just lost to the Lions, maybe, and then beat the Rams. That would probably be just how we'd flip it.
That's fair.
Or maybe we thought they'd be 5-1. I don't know if we did.
I didn't think that. No. I knew they'd lose a couple. I didn't think they'd lose to the Rams week 1, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think they are who their record says they are. Well, I think that's true of every team this early for the most part. Though you guys know, or if you don't know, I'm a big point differential guy. The Seahawks are plus 26, which is the 9th best in
10.
the league. Yeah, top 10 in point differential, which is still really good. Point differential is really important, man, because if you're beating the hell out of teams, usually better than sometimes you're better than your record suggests. Sometimes, like the Niners are a plus 97. Oh boy! Like in the Bills are 4-3, right? But they're a plus 80. Like they are whooping butt. And then when they lose, they just lose close. So that's leading me to believe they're better than a team like who's got a better record than the Bills, but who I don't think is as good as the Bills. Let's see. Jacksonville is 5-2. It's better record than the Bills. Jacksonville is plus 27, right? Only slightly better than the Seahawks. Right. So I think that they're right about where they should be. Plus a good point differential, top 10. Instead of just having like a top 10 offense like they should have, they have like a top 10 defense. We just kind of flipped that, generally speaking. But the defense is real, man. Top 10 in sack rate, top 10 in sacks, rushing defense, top. I don't know where they're at scoring for the year, but man, really good scoring defense. These guys are locked in on defense right now. They're a top 12 scoring defense. So yeah, man. I think they're right where they should be. They're right where the talent suggests. It just depends. It's like the order that it's going in is a little funky, but yeah, 4-2 is about right.
This next one comes from 1010, the Shy Guy. Based on current team performance, what's your way too early take on the Seahawks draft in 2024? QB in, a QB heavy draft, or defensive line?
The QB thing is interesting, but I think that depends on what happens with Drew Lock. If he decides to sign back again, maybe they don't take a quarterback. But if they like need, they get someone else in there, maybe they want someone, or maybe if they go into it needing just a backup, I could see them taking a guy, not with their first pick, but someone to groom, like where they took Russ or where the Titans just took like Will Levis or something, or even where the Eagles took Hurts. What was Hurts, like pick 50 or something like that? So something like that. D-line, I don't think so. Most of their D linemen are signed through this year. Jay Reed signed a 2-year. I think Draymond signed a 3. Boye is under contract. Chenna, DT, everybody's under contract. At least at the very least through next year, and most of them through that. Cam Young, I don't think Miles Adams is, but that's an easy re-sign if you need to. The interesting ones are tight end and inside linebacker are the really interesting ones because you don't have any inside linebackers under contract after the season ends. Easily you could re-sign Bobby and Jordan, but just right now you don't. And then I think Disley is the only tight end under contract after this year. I think Noah and Colby are up, so that's kind of interesting. And then Disley, like we talked about earlier, his production's down, targets are down. He's the most expensive, but you're not using him very much. Maybe he's like a take a pay cut type of guy at Jax. So we'll see. It is way, way, way too early, but I think right now, an interior offensive line. I could see them if they have like pick 24 or something. Yeah, just taking the best guard available, maybe, or a center if Evan Brown doesn't resign. So yeah, interior O-line, tight end, linebacker. Those are probably where you're looking. With an outside shot at QB, but I don't see it right now.
This last one comes from Eric Wall. How did you get into sports journalism? Was it always something you wanted to do?
Oh man, this question could take a long. Oh dang, that reminds me. A kid from Wazoo wants to interview me. Remind me, Chris, to do that. You can leave that in the show. That's gonna help me remember. He DM'd me twice too. I forgot. Anyway, short version of that is no. I wanted to play in the NBA and like the rest of every black kid growing up. I'm 5'8" though, so there goes that. Can't dunk, never scored a touchdown, so there goes that plan too. The short version is I wanted to be like Stephen A. Smith, who, for context, me and Chris are both class of 2010. So if you guys watch ESPN and the Talking Head shows around right then, look, man, Stephen A. and Skip was about as hot as fish grease. Like that was the best thing on TV was Stephen A. and Skip Bayless yelling at each other early morning over Linsanity, Tebow. Like it was Tebow, I think was while I was in college, but either way, it was just great TV. Like it was very easy. I feel like anyone who was paying attention around then, even if you don't like the Talking Head stuff now, you can acknowledge that was the hot. If you were even wanting to be in sports media, anything, those two easily you could see how that was the thing to emulate. So that's why I went to Wazoo, because they told me if you want to get into broadcast journalism, go there. They were right. Then I got there and I was like, I ain't this TV thing, not for me. You got to carry around these heavy cameras and the editing takes forever. The story, like, I'm good. I don't want to do all that. That's how I got into print. My English teacher was like, you should have a paper. You should have a column in the student paper. I was like, sure. Tried that out. Obviously, it worked out. Shout out to this English teacher who I cannot remember his name whenever I tell this story. No, it wasn't Shores. Ben Shores he's a journalism teacher at Wazoo. Shout out to Ben Shores.
Yeah.
My English professor. This is like intro. It's like English 103 or whatever. I just can't remember his name. I can see him, and I don't think he works there no more. Maybe I'll look at the directory, see if he's still there. But or my old transcript or something. I can find a way to figure out who he is. Anyway, so that's the short version. I really wanted to be in sports media. I wanted to get on TV and yell and make a lot of money, which I still want to do. But for now, me and Chris will just do this until the big bag comes. But that was the goal. That came around like senior year high school. I was like, man, I gotta get on TV. I watched a lot of Around the Horn, PTI, and I saw all these people who were journalists who now get to yell on TV and make a lot of money. I was like, this is great. Like Jay Adonde, Kevin Blackistone, Michael Smith, Jamil Hill, Bill Plaschke, Tim Kalishaw, all these guys. I've met a lot of these dudes now, but at the time I was like, yo, all these guys just work at newspapers and they get to be on ESPN. Now I realize now it doesn't work that easy, but that was the thought. If you're curious about the longer version, maybe I'll tell you guys later. But that's the short of how I got into this. I started with doing a column at the student paper at Wazoo. Shout out to the Daily Evergreen, and everything just kind of flows from there.
There it is. Well, we want to thank you guys for all the Twitter questions. We appreciate all the love and support. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go onto our YouTube and subscribe to Seahawks Man to Man. Again, we will drop our standout plays from the matchup against the Cardinals. Some good, some bad, but we are excited to bring you that and are excited to have it back. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here? Yes,
as always, I appreciate the love and support that we receive via social media, whether it's on YouTube or y'all just text us or you DM us or you see us out and say, hey, I love the show. We appreciate it everywhere we go. Keep it up. Keep it up. You know,
shout out to homie at the barbecue spot. I forget his name, but he's
his name was it was Trey, right?
Trey.
No. I seen a dude named Trey at a bar in Kent. That was different. The barbecue spot in
the young man
in Kent. Yeah, he took our order.
Yep, took our order and was like, love the show. And I was like, oh, snap, that's what's up, man. Appreciate it. So, yeah, that's a great example of Mike when he alluded to you see out in public. Yes, that was a good example. Because I was like, oh, that's what's up. And Mike was like, hey, man, did he rap with you? Yeah, he did.
Thank you. Yes. So we love that. We appreciate that. All the questions, all the feedback, everything. Whenever someone asks, hey, I'm looking for a podcast for the Seahawks, anyone know? And you guys tag us. We love that too. All that stuff, man. Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys later in the week. Peace.